Good afternoon. I would like to start just to clear up one situation. The Sunday after our Louisville game, I met in my office with Ian Thomas and his father to discuss Ian's future with the team and the program, at which time I wanted Ian to stay in our program. I thought he would have been a quality player and a quality person for us. In those discussions, the idea of him playing baseball in the future did come up. And at the end of the discussion, I asked Ian the question, are you okay leaving your team at this point in the season? And his response to me was yes. Now, in those discussions, his father did most of the speaking, and Ian was very respectful of his father. But once Ian had confirmed that he was okay leaving the team at that point in the season, I felt it was probably in his best interest to do so. And since then, I've waited for a release request from another school. I have not received any. Other facts that I think are important to the story are Director of Academic Support for Athletics, Scott Walker, was contacted by Ian's father prior to this, no less than 2 times to discuss Ian playing baseball here at Rutgers. At some point earlier in the season, while Ian was still on our team, he had a conversation with one of our captains, Jamal Morrell, in which he stated his heart was in baseball. I'm not used to these kind of articles coming out the way they did. I think it was unfortunate. I think had the facts been given at a time, this could have been avoided. I don't appreciate the fact that my wife and my children had to wake up this morning to see an article that paints their father as a liar and somebody that's dishonest. I've built my relationships in this part of the country over the last 20 years, and I spent a lot of time doing it. And everyone I've built has been built on honesty. And I think if you talk to the people in athletics and on campus here at Rutgers, the high school coaches in this state and in the state of Rutgers, and the other people I've done business with, I think they'll tell you that. Does anybody have any other questions that do not pertain to UCF, so we can get those out of the way before we talk about the game?
Would you have preferred the courtesy of a phone call asking your side of the story on that story?
I would, and generally with these things in the past, that phone call's gone to Jason, and then he's conferred with me, and we try to make sure that all the facts are straight.
Coach Javon Tyree is suggesting that the reason he left the team is because you wouldn't play him because of this whole bullying allegation back in April. Were you not playing Javon Tyree because of his allegations of bullying?
We've already released a statement on the Javon Tyree situation. I'm not going to comment further on that. I will say to you that every depth chart decision we make in our program, regardless of the position, regardless of the player, is based on who gives us the best opportunity to win.
But you played a wide receiver instead of a cornerback, and that was one of his, apparently that was the last straw for him.
Every position on our team, in every game, we put the players on the field that we think give us the best chance to win.
So did Ian mention that he was homesick when you met with him?
Ian mentioned being homesick on a number of occasions, not just in that meeting. And quite a few players, when they come to college, mention those type of things. It's one of those things that freshmen and redshirt freshmen go through.
But when he decided to transfer, he didn't give that as a reason to you as why he wanted to leave.
It was in the discussion, as well as baseball was in the discussion.
But you only said baseball when you announced the decision.
Your point is?
Well, you didn't mention the homesickness. Why not?
No reason.
Coach, your team seemed at least dispirited against Cincinnati. Can you talk a little bit about what the mental state of your team is right now, given current conditions?
Are we on to Cincinnati? Are there any other, I'm sorry, are we on to UCF now? The football part of it? Are there any other questions that are non-football related?
In general, how does this team handle it when there are allegations of bullying?
I think you're going to have an opportunity to speak to some of our players today, and I think you can ask them that question directly. I have seen nothing but a spirited football team with a lot of energy and getting ready to play an excellent team in UCF.
Are you satisfied with the situation with Javon Tyree and how it was resolved?
I've already made it. The university's made a statement on the Javon Tyree situation. I'm not going to comment further on it.
What is Coach Cohen's status, and how do you think this all reflects on him?
Coach Cohen right now is our defensive coordinator. I'm not going to make a further comment on that right now as we get ready to play a game.
Is there anything that you can say about the situation with Tyree and what's been learned?
Everything that we're going to say about the Javon Tyree situation at this point is in the statement.
It will not be revisited and there will not be another review?
I would not say that. I just said everything we're going to say right now is in our statement.
Now, in general, do you think you and the team are handling, internally people are handling the things swirling around? Has there been any sort of distraction?
I think everybody's aware of it. I think the players and the coaches, we're focused on what we do. It's probably harder on the families on the outside. I think they are exposed to a lot more of it on a daily basis.
Coach, going back to the basketball situation with Mr. Rice and Julie Herman and now this, is this an institution in your mind that is ready to take the next step,
Define what you mean by the next step.
joining a new conference, national exposure, et cetera?
I can't speak for the university or the athletic department, I can only speak for the football program, and I know that the future of our program is moving in the right direction. And I know the players in that locker room are excited about the future of our program, and the players in recruiting that are committed to us right now are really excited about the future of the program. But internally, we are focused on one game. And that's all we can do right now is be focused on being 1-0 versus UCF. You know, all the big picture things are things that I have to deal with on a daily basis, but for the players and the coaches, we better be fully engaged in the game plan for UCF, or it's hard enough to be 1-0. If you allow those things to distract you, it gets even harder.
Does Coach Cohen have your confidence and support heading into UCF?
Coach Cohen's our defensive coordinator, and if I didn't have confidence in him as a football coach, he wouldn't be there.
Will it be good to hit the road for this team to maybe get away from distractions?
I don't know that. I've heard people say that before, but even when we're at home the night before the game, we go to the hotel, and the routine is pretty much the same. This day and age, I don't know if you're ever secluded with cell phones and social media. I don't know if anybody's ever completely isolated.
What do you think you've learned, Coach, from the way things have gone down just in the last 72 or 96 hours after the Tyree matter became public?
What do you mean?
What are your thoughts on, what have you learned in the way things were handled internally and externally by the university and the coverage of it?
I can't comment on how the university has handled something externally. I can only comment on how I handled it within the football program. And you know, we released a statement on it, and I'm very comfortable with how I handled it internally.
Do we have any other questions pertaining to the football game?
What kind of things can you work on here in a short week to shore up the defense and secondary, just as much as you can against another team that's going to throw it?
You have limited time, and you got limited things you can do on the field because you got to make sure that their legs are ready. And I think when you have a game plan like this, you have to really rely on the things that you've done over and over again. You got to rely on the repetitions you took in training camp, the repetitions you've taken in each practice week. I think those things are critical.
Thanks.